chain wear indicator for £1. Hex tools for £2. A cassette removal tool, they're £10. But that's £1 as well. These Temu tools, are they some kind of super amazing value? Or are they just a load of old crap? Well, stick around and we'll put them to the test. The fact that cycling tools cost a small fortune isn't a point wasted on me. I'm not one of those tool snobs, and I don't have a pegboard peppered with blue-handled beauties. If a tool from a generic brand is fine, then you know what, that's fine by me. Saying that though, I think cycling specific tools should be bought from a trusted cycling specific brand. But the trouble is, the cycling specific tools are very expensive. Now, if you're only using that tool, say, once a year, then those cheap alternatives start to look very attractive. So that got me thinking, I'll go on Temu and I will buy my 5 most used tools and then give them a good test. Will they all be crap, or will there be a couple of gems in there? So anyway, who is Temu and where did they come from? Well, they seem to be some kind of AliExpress, Amazon love child that just suddenly appeared about a year ago. It's a marketplace that allows China-based manufacturers to supply directly to you and me. The prices seem just like too good to be true, and some of the reviews would suggest it is too good to be true. But as I say, the prices are very tempting, and they even include free delivery. So I placed my order for my top 5 tools on the 3rd of November. A week and a half later, this bag turns up via tracked courier. So, not too bad, I suppose. Right, let's crack it open and see what I ordered. Some Hex Keys. A chain whip. A chain checker. A cassette removal tool. Crikey. The smallest split link remover pliers in the world. I didn't realise they were that small. And just for a bit of fun, one of those chain cleaning machines. Right, so let's start putting them through their paces. So first up for scrutiny is the chain checker tool. I'll need a bike for this, give me a second. And there you go, a bike. Now I'm not going to go into detail as to exactly how you use this tool, I'm just going to see if it gives us a pass or a fail on this chain. And to determine whether this is accurate or not, we need to first of all measure this chain using a trusted method. And there is nothing more trusted than the Park Tool CC4, a precision quality component from a trusted brand. So let's first of all see what the CC4 says about that chain. There you go, that is a pass. Right, now let's get our £1 chain checker. The Park Tool one costs over 10 times more. Let's get our £1 one and see what that says. Pass. Now I wasn't expecting that. It has come up with exactly the same result as the Park Tool. So it works. So there you go, the £15 Park Tool chain checker versus the cheap and nasty £1.27 one off of Temu. And basically the Temu one came up with exactly the same result as the Park Tool one. Now me personally, my recommendation would always be that you should use the Park Tool one. This is a precision measurement, the chain is important, you need to get it right, and the Park Tool is a laser cut precision tool. That is a mass produced piece of stamped out metal. But there is also the counter argument that that just did exactly the same measurement as that. What's your opinion? Comment below. Next up, the chain whip. Now, To clean a cassette properly, you need to remove it. And the way you remove it, one of the tools you use is a chain whip. This is my one. I've had it for absolutely years. You know what? I don't know where I got it from or how long I've had it or what I paid for it. It has been used hundreds of times to remove cassettes. This one, on the other hand, I know exactly where I got it from and exactly what I paid for it. This came off of Temu and I paid £3.48 for it. Now, you tend to use this alongside this tool here, which is the cassette removal tool. Once again, I've had this one for absolutely ages. I've got no idea where I got it from or what I paid for it, but I've done some research and these currently are roughly £8 to £10. Now, this is the one I've just bought off of Temu and I paid £1.07 for it. Right, so let's put these two together and see if we can remove a cassette. So the most important bit is the interface between the tool and the lock ring on the top of the cassette. What we don't want to do is have a poor connection between these two and then end up shearing this off, because then we're in a world of pain, especially with this one, because this cassette will cost you £250. So we need a nice snug fit. And that is a nice snug fit. Right, okay, now let's try and take this cassette off. Right, so my wheel with my tool on it, socket and chain whip. Let's whip this off, see how we do. Perfectly good job. One cassette removed. So the first impressions would suggest it's a win-win for the chain whip and cassette removal tool. But all is not as it seems. First of all, the chain whip. Look, you know what? It's a metal bar with a bit of bicycle chain on it. You can't go wrong. Fine, yes, £3.48, that win, bargain. You want a chain whip? Buy one of those. It will serve you probably for many years. However, the cassette removal tool. Now, when you compare that to my old one, this is my one. I've had this one for, it's at least 7, could even be up to 10 years. And if you look at it, it is black. Yes, it's losing a bit of its colour here and there, but fundamentally, that is solid black. If you feel this one, first of all, the cheap one feels a bit lighter than my old one. But more importantly, after using it, I noticed that the paint had flaked off of it. This one, my old one, isn't painted. It's black because it's hardened tempered steel. And when you go through that treatment process, it becomes black like that. This one hasn't been hardened and tempered and has been spray painted black, and after using it some of that paint has flaked off, so I've given it a scrape with a knife, and if you look closely at it you will see that the paint, after giving it a scrape with a knife, I'm not sure if that's coming out on the camera or not, but that has flaked off. So what that tells me is that is soft. Now it might work once or might work twice even, but over time that softer metal will fail and it could potentially damage the lock ring on the top of your cassette. And if you damage that lock ring on the top of your cassette, you are in a world of pain. So that, I'm saying no. Out of all of my workshop tools, the hardest wearing and the most reached for are my Hex/Allen keys, and I'm sure it's the same for you. Now, high-end products from companies like Park Tool or Wearer will cost in excess of £80 a set. So that makes products like this that can be purchased individually at £1.97 each an attractive alternative. Now, my biggest concern here is the strength. If the metal is soft, they will wear very quickly and they will eventually round off your bolts. And if that happens, you are in a world of pain. Now, the silver finish on these may suggest that they're a similar quality of the Allen keys that come with your flat pack furniture. So I think the best thing we can do is put them through their paces and see how they do. So one of the things you can do is measure them. So if I get a digital caliper and I measure one of mine, you will see my 4mm is 4mm. Hopefully you can see that okay. 3.99mm. Now let's measure one of our £1.97 jobbies. .94 I'm getting there. It's not disastrous, but it's not brilliant. Now one of the things you can do to see how hard this steel is get a pair of not very good, really old World War I wire cutters and grab it, give it a squeeze and then run the edge along it. And I'm not sure if you can hear that, but there is now a definite nick out of that. Let's try that with one of my old ones. Same again, on there, give it a squeeze, and now let's run it along. There is a slight nick out of it, very, very slight, but it's nowhere near as pronounced as the cheap ones. Another thing we can do is we can get a hard Allen bolt and give it some abuse and see how it handles that. Now, what do you think is the hardest Allen bolts that you use? It's actually cleat bolts. So there you go, a cleat bolt. Right, now let's give it some abuse. And what we're going to do, we're going to get that cleat bolt, put it in a vise, do that vise up nice and tight, and then try and undo the bolt. And let's see how our hex key handles it, because if it was a cheap, nasty, soft one, it would round off. You know what? That's a pass. Now, it is worth mentioning that there are technical advantages to using Allen/hex keys from companies like Park and Ware, especially the Ware ones. They're engineered in such a way that, you know, even if your bolt is in a bad condition, there's less chance of those more expensive products rounding off your bolt. But if you are on a budget, then you know what? They get my vote. Another tool that gets constant use in my workshop are these, my split link pliers. You use these to undo the split link on a chain. Now, I've used cheap and nasty ones of these in the past, and the problem with them is not actually what you'd expect it to be. If you get a stubborn split link, you put them on, you give them a squeeze, and instead of the split link coming in, what happens is the soft, nasty, thin handles just bend. Right, and let's have a look what I've ordered. Crikey, look at these. The smallest split link pliers in the world. Look, they are literally half the size. And these were £1.97. Against that, for £15. So you could have one pair of these or 7 pairs of these. I suppose the important thing is here is, do they do the job? So let's get them out the packet and give them a try. Now, what's also really cool with these is they come with a little wire that holds the chain for you. So I've never tried that before, so this is a new experience. So, split link there and there, like that. Tiny little things. And let's give them a go. See if we can undo that split link. Well, I've undone it. Perfect. There you go. One removed split link, which is now dropped on the floor. Right, let's see if we can do it back up. Genius. They are amazing. They get my vote. Perfect. Released and did them back up again. And look at that, they're tiny enough to go in the bag on your bike. £1.97. That's got to be the best thing out of all of the stuff I've tried today. Gets my vote. Now, when it comes down to bike maintenance, one thing I am passionate about is the importance of keeping a bike clean. The best upgrade you can give a dirty bike is a good wash, and the most important area to keep clean is the drivetrain. And the one thing that upsets me the most are these gadgets that claim they can do the work for you. And the biggest culprit of that is that clockwork gadget from Park, the Cyclone Chain Scrubber, which retails at an astonishing £30. And there's only one thing I can think that's worse than that, and that's a fake one of them. But at £1.97, I thought, well, maybe it will be a bit of fun. So the idea is you fill it with soapy warm water and then you clamp it around your chain. Quality product. And then basically you crank your chain around and your chain just sort of whizzes through it like a chain drive-through car wash. So I'm hoping that some of you can appreciate why I'm a bit sceptical. I did a video the other day about heating your cycling shoes, and that video involved me riding through some cold and unpleasant places. And this is the bike I used for that video. And as you can see, the group set and the rest of the bike generally is quite unpleasant. So I'm going to be using this clockwork gadget to see what it can do with that chain, but I'm going to give it a helping hand. I'm going to use warm water in it, a high quality cleaning agent, and I'm even going to give it a helping hand and add in a bit of Virusol degreaser. So let's see how it does. Right, so that's all the cleaning agents in there. Let's clamp it around the chain and see how it does. I've never used one of these things before. I've got no idea what I'm doing. Right, that's made a frothy mess. Let's now take it off and see how clean the chain is. The floor's a nice mess as well. Don't do this in your kitchen, will you? Right. I think the best thing for me to do is give it a wipe with an oily rag first, at least give it some chance. Let's start with an oily rag, take some of the soap off. It's not really helping. Let's try a relatively clean rag. And now let's get a nice clean cloth and run the chain through this to see what we've got. Not very clean, is it? So the Clockwork novelty chain cleaner thing that I threw in at the end for a bit of fun performed exactly as I expected it would. I'm glad it only cost me £1.97. So the idea of the video was supposed to be just a bit of a fun laugh and a joke as to how bad the tools can be from Temu. But it looks like, to a certain degree anyway, that may have backfired on me a bit. The chain whip at, what was it, £2.47 or what it was, turned out to be a perfectly good product. The Hex Keys, they seem to be pretty good value for money. And as for the smallest link pliers in the world, well look, they just stole the show, didn't they? And they're small enough to tuck away on your bike. Now, things like the cassette removal tool and the chain checker, I think it's fair to say the jury's out on those right now. And as for the novelty bit of fun at the end, the Clockwork chain cleaner, well, that did exactly what I expected it to do. I suppose one good thing is that at least it came with some free brushes. Now, I'm not suggesting for 1 second that all of the tools on Temu are of workshop quality and that you should get your whole tool collection and bin it and replace it with their stuff. Far from it. But what I am saying is, for the budding home mechanic that uses tools very, very rarely, then there are some okay tools out there if you can work out which ones are the good ones and which one are the bad ones. It is a bit of a gamble. Now, if workshop tools are your thing, then you should be watching that video next, where I look at the correct removal and replacement of cartridge bearings. Alternatively, if you are prepping your bike for winter, then why not check that video down there? Thanks for watching.